bags, and we needed to wait for 2 days. On these strips is what's called blood agar, which is similar to what you might have in some petri dishes to grow bacteria. The strip was white when you started, and if there's a low concentration of cells, it pretty stays white or gets a little bit yellowish. And the strips don't say exactly how many cells there are per milliliter of water, but you get an estimate. So you can see if there's more than 100 milliliters of water, we start to get some color change, 1,000 more, 100,000 more, and this is 100 million, it turns bright red. So yesterday evening, I grabbed some of the strips and took a photo, and then figured out what they were. This is bottled water, so it pretty much suggests that there's no bacteria. Low saline kitchen, no bacteria. That's good. And then the tea stall, the swimming pool, we do see sort of a few little specks of bacteria. This is still pretty low concentration and probably not something that you should worry about. For us, these might be bacteria that we're very unfamiliar with, and that's why when you go to a foreign country, you might start picking up things that are harder for your body to deal with. And if you take home one key message from this afternoon, don't drink the water from the pond near the Camp 3 bridge or the sewer water. Now, if you want to, I've arranged all of them here by what sample they are, because remember we took 3 replicates. Sewer water is always really bad. 4, 1, 2, 3. 4, which is the pond near Camp 3. Also, almost all of them sort of look like this, but in some of the samples we do see some variation.
아니 창마 되는도 진학본도 두본도 통도스 nemda shenda imbaina ko this mando duse so taxi dread sims do yorwa emana tunditi mando tongdus.
I think most of that variation is probably real because remember you had different water samples, so we'd expect maybe a little bit of variation.
Ta de manjushinala ya ku chepertis yongo pati karena chisuge karsa chuge pitsuti lens tambaltis mando lenshan was this tambala ko gtrimjing mando ngongris.
But in bottled water, 2 are clear and 1 has a big red dot in the middle.
Tatanda de la yang suge kasa jiktam nona chiyo chuwarwa te taksi chiyo res imbana te na nita chik ganlaya smadwalaya ko chika mert chembu chidus.
My hypothesis is that somebody accidentally just barely touched the strip and you have millions and millions of bacteria in your hands, so as soon as you touch it, you are going to get some growth.
Ta ngarang samsim bana karchi shazna taksi tripikas mich gazaza ma chi da taksi chisa galale chigorwa te lakpa gangla changjulo chi sares tin tambalaya tena du cha ba bana ane ti cha batela tena deta ne kumsong cha sarwa tin tambalaya te gangla ya simpundus chiong gres.
So in biology, sometimes when we do experiments like this and we get multiple technical replicates, if one technical replicate is significantly different than the others, we can throw it out and we would average the others.
Ta ngaso chingi sankna na taksentena uchibi kasim bana ngaso ko pechunte ching daun dawti mampu zu de tarwa ko chingda tena mampu zu de ta takse dubkres kete tigna ni kanchigla ya agenda te beti khrum hando ching bana mando te yug de ta senda kanza chanyum chi chanyu agenda gi ani tumti te chanyu zu de ta ngaso ndibutila tagres.
And sometimes we do actually remove data. So you can imagine in the study here on breathing meditation, if you had one participant that told you afterwards that they had a cold, that they felt really bad, then that might be a legitimate reason to actually remove that data from the analysis.
Ta ya sansama ka chigres tambalaya ngasu ke takshe de chitumde ta ka sa tangthu te dur chi shawre imbai na ya tigna na ya ko tangthu khaching ma pya me pertaya subya tinda yongres picha shabaina tanda de la chisu ke chi unjong ge takshe chi sha ju chi yorwa de imbai na digna ne ke ti takshe chi ni chi ki ka sa na ngala ya chi chamban do chi na de ta parute la ya zu madiwa tinda do chong song la paina ta madiwa chong ge na sa chong wa te ane tanda khotang dreve ge ta joshi chi ne te tang dreve ge tang tu te chong ge takshe na ne bet ma la ge jinse ma son jinse yang ta pachila sinad kores.
But if you had somebody who you were studying meditation versus non-meditation and the impact on sleep, and some non-meditator slept 13 hours, and you're like, well, that doesn't support my hypothesis, you cannot throw them out for that reason.
Ya khasechi tu sia ko yumchwa ni tantinda jong gres pisha sha paina chi gum japata majapatela tene da anila ya chepen ru mandu chi gorwa gum janye ta majanye ge nisel karsa gum janye ta majanye ge nisel tene da ko ni kachu kundu sa tela ya pisha sha paina gum majanye chi pete chi to choksum da uchila ni kusona alende ko ge yang ko ge tumdi disukro ta ngarang gitina la ha tanda chojak nang chula ya ta de gum dute yishana de komendo sa tina do yo mares ya ignan ko mares.
And so best practices are when you can try to have technical replicates or replicates of the same person, and a lot of you did that by getting 7 days of data rather than just one.
Tati ka system bala dina do ge ni tante chi me prezuya ge rosukro ta tanda dina do ge gende chwa me prezuya thapshi ka system bala ya chipa chichen chi thama bula dres gorwa otre specha shapana chesu de la gom jaga ta dina do ka simbana chi nima nis ke ani tang thu dure chi ya cha maimba te chipa chichen mi tagarang la ya nima dun tin chi chi shan was system bala ya ko chipa chichen chi chadri chi ko gorwa system bala di tende ta tanda ge chi dina do ka nge set ki ores.
And increasingly in studies, particularly in studies that have human participants, you make rules ahead of time of when you would exclude data and when you wouldn't, what analyses you will do and what you don't. So start thinking and having these questions about at what point would we remove data from this, because it could change your experimental design. It may suggest you might need more participants. It may suggest that you need to ask them a question about whether they're sick or not.
That didn't know in Zansko, didn't know Tanda Chesuga, Property Natsuga, Taxi Simjik Chisati, me in Baina, and that 지금 장투 이렇게 되는 지금 바이바나 지말에 이시주야 나네 나라야 죽으면서도 당한테도 아니 지가서 장투 때라야 이시주야가 탑는 가나도 지치기 라소파게 삼루때 안가사산이 당고요레스 안가사산이 삼루 당바인바이나 아니 지치 바인바나 철라얀 지시치냐 만고안도 다 지치나 양고 taksejiate junrang tangwando ga neta mampuchin jungore tisambala dita nga sasane thache paimbana tilatene dete ko kasugreta taksejia gi tablan tang jirim tilayan kalayan jwa tang gi neta jungres.
And so one thing we'll do with your proposals this year that's a bit different than last is we'll actually ask you in the proposal to say how you will analyze the data, and we'll help you with that so that you can start planning ahead of time.
Tanda delaya ngaso delaya yang ko taksejia gi ta chersen chi zugu yorwa taksejia gi chersen zuwa tanda zuwa ti kar system ba ngoma tang mando chi kar system ba la ya takse ti gi chersen nang la ya chichu ga yiship gi kari pechu tang gi be sa ti tanda dina go res tan ding go ba im ba na delaten de te ani chorong gi ta jima tang thu tin du se yishi chi gi sa ge chi thap dina go res tan di ti Okay,
so for the rest of the afternoon, what we want you to do is to sort of finalize what the groups are, what your main question is, and sort of rough out a study design, and maybe sort of draw it out if you can, but if you're stuck, just like come up with a general plan. And then tomorrow, after the symposium, we'll start doing what we did last year. We'll be moving between groups a lot and helping you sort of think about the details.
Teni chorange simjik chiage chershi raksanti kanado chi besta dritkna drichi na raksan chikorochis de sanye baina ya ngaso nanin chiwa nanshin re sanyin gitido de la ya ne ko panglan da de chin rutan chiwarwa de chi de tang ani nangla ya khasu karichi gugundu ti tashi chigins.
We did have a really incredibly useful conversation with the science teachers yesterday morning.
Kesa shopa baina tanda de chari again number chutanyamte and
so the science teachers will probably be suggesting to a couple of you, there's two groups that we might merge, and within that, there are a few monastics from the Drepung area that we're thinking we're going to help explore some other groups. Because one of the biggest challenges is for these groups that were split between maybe Sarah and Drepung. It was really hard to find times to be together and work together.
They kesa kusuge gonse sheba imbana tanda dela ya chiga ruka khachi imbana ko kasa ruka khachi te ruka khashi imbana nyamte dianda uchi che khashi chi imbana ko ruka ke chomi kanza ata chi sera ta ani deponda gande dola khatam de stambala ya ani nyamte zoya gi to khapu chona chi gorwa tin stambala ya chiga ruka dela ya tutu ta ge de kola this gonse chansons.
And then there's a few science teachers that really just want to talk and make sure that everybody in the group wants to stay together working on a particular topic. There is some space to split or diverge because we really want you to do something that you're excited about, because science is hard, and if you're not excited about it, it's hard to follow
through. Jisusu to donayo sa kasuna joji damsha juga rukana atale jushi chiala sopa ke netan tia ko kama yongudus ta shirkin bana ji thairi te ta jaya ta ta takshe simji chi bikas baina susu nguni rana gau gasa chi memba baina susu dona tresa chi memba baina ya ji ya thairi ke takshe chia tia ji chitang baina kapuno yongres.
So you can stay in here and just get some tables and make yourself a little spot. Or you can go somewhere else. But definitely at any point, if you want to talk with us or you need any help, we will stay here so you know where to find us. Okay, so again, tentative question, tentative study design. And let's be back here at 4:45 to get the room all ready, because as a team we were very fast at that last night.
아하. 다단다 제쪽에 줄라 손대도 수수수 루카나니 와다 루카 저 듣기는 영화에나 티나라야. 아니 드라티카리 베스다. 심지그 드라티카리인데 아니 심지그 그파티카리 베스다. 참고 락선치 구고 여러와. 어디두스 두더지로치스. 아나다 스테이션 까마지 생활에 양체 두스 페로치스. 미스탄발에 양아스 데 속한데 텔레티는 건다티 체트 두스 다리치아이스. 당공 건다이 바스마 참그 하르바리 지스탄발라야 예인족부 차송스. 드라투스 제인스. Permanence.